This is unacceptable, Harris. Your kind never tries. SF is what you deserve. You have no future in my class.
That's a lie.
The bell had just rung, but nobody in Mrs. Linda Hargrove's advanced math class at Riverside High School dared move. The air was thick with dread. Jamal Harris sat frozen at his desk, his heart hammering like a war drum. Mrs. Hargrove, tall, white, mid-50s, always dressed in crisp blouses that screamed authority, stood over him, holding his final exam paper high like a bloody flag. "Jamal," she hissed, her voice slicing through the silence, "a perfect 100. On my exam, you cheated. There's no other explanation for someone like you to score this high." She slammed the paper down so hard the desk rattled. "Kids from your neighborhood don't just ace things. They steal the answers, they cheat, and you black boys, are the worst." "Ah," the class gasped. A few white girls smirked. Jamal's stomach dropped into free fall. This wasn't just an accusation. This was the beginning of something far darker, a nightmare of abuse, racial hatred, gender discrimination, and brutal, unethical power that would twist everyone's lives inside out. Little did Mrs. Hargrove know, her words had just lit the fuse. Jamal had poured his soul into that exam. 17 years old, tall and lean with quiet intensity, he came from a single-mother household in the rougher side of town. His mom worked double shifts at the hospital. Jamal worked nights bagging groceries, just so they could keep the lights on. He dreamed of becoming an engineer. Every spare minute for 3 weeks had gone into textbooks, flashcards, and late-night tutoring videos on his cracked phone. He hadn't slept more than 4 hours a night. When the papers were handed back, he had actually smiled until Mrs. Hargrove zeroed in on him like a predator. "You think you're smarter than everyone else?" she snarled, leaning so close he could smell her coffee breath. "I know your type, lazy, entitled, always looking for the easy way out because society owes you." She turned to the class, unlike the responsible girls here who actually study. Her eyes flicked approvingly toward a cluster of white and Asian girls in the front row, the same ones who always got gentle smiles and extra time. Emma Thompson, Jamal's best friend since freshman year, shot her hand up. Emma was white, straighter ponytail, always neat, but she had a spine. "Mrs. Hargrove, that's not fair. I studied with Jamal every day after school. He earned this." "What, eh?" The teacher's face twisted. "Sit down, Miss Thompson. This is exactly why girls like you get led astray, defending boys who don't deserve it. Always so emotional, so dramatic. Maybe you should worry about your own future instead of playing savior to the wrong crowd." The gender knife was out now. Boys were troublemakers. Girls who spoke up were hysterical. Girls who stayed quiet and pretty got praised. Jamal felt the familiar burn of rage and shame crawl up his neck. Mrs. Hargrove wasn't done. "Detention today. And I'm calling security. We're searching your locker and your bag right now." Before Jamal could protest, the door banged open. Mr. Brock, the 300-pound ex-cop, turned school security guard, lumbered in like he'd been waiting. Without a word, he grabbed Jamal by the upper arm, thick fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. "Come on, boy, let's see what you're hiding." We sighed. Jamal was dragged out under the stares of 30 classmates. The hallway echoed with Brock's heavy breathing and Mrs. Hargrove's clicking heels. They shoved him into the empty detention room, slammed the door, and started rifling through his backpack like it was a crime scene. Books flew. His notebook was torn open. Brock's meaty hands patted him down roughly, lingering too long, too invasive. "Stand still," Brock growled. "You people always got something to hide." Mrs. Hargrove watched with folded arms. "I've seen this before, black boys cheating their way through. It ends today." Jamal's eyes stung with furious tears. he refused to let fall. He hadn't cheated, but the system had already decided he was guilty because of the color of his skin. The next 3 days were hell. Jamal was suspended pending investigation. His mother cried on the phone to the principal, Mr. Klein, begging for fairness. Mr. Klein, a balding, nervous man who always deferred to his teachers, simply said, "We have to trust Mrs. Hargrove's judgment. She's one of our best." Back at school, the whispers followed Jamal like shadows. Cheater, thug. Hargrove made sure everyone knew. In the hallway she'd pass him and mutter just loud enough, "Still walking around like you own the place. Boys like you never learn." During lunch, Emma tried to sit with him. Mrs. Hargrove appeared out of nowhere. "Emma, I expected better from you. Girls shouldn't be associating with trouble. It reflects poorly on your character." She yanked Emma's tray away. "Eat somewhere else, and watch your step. I grade participation too." Paula. Emma's face burned with humiliation. Later she texted Jamal. She hates when girls speak up, calls it unladylike. "I'm so sorry. The abuse wasn't just words." In the one class Jamal was still allowed to attend before full suspension, Mrs. Hargrove publicly tore apart his previous assignments, even ones she had graded a week earlier. "Clearly inflated," she sneered. "Boys think they can coast." War. Jamal started keeping his head down, but inside he was breaking. His mother worked herself sick worrying. At night he lay awake replaying the arm twist from Brock, the way the guard had whispered, "Keep quiet or it gets worse." Then came the first real twist. On the 4th day, Jamal snuck back onto campus to grab books from his locker. He overheard 2 girls, both front-row favorites of Mrs. Hargrove, whispering in the stairwell. "I can't believe she gave us the exact same problems last night in her extra help group," one said, giggling. "She literally handed us the answers," said we, "deserved it, because we're serious students." But he, the other, laughed. "Yeah, the boys would never get that, especially not Jamal." Jamal's blood ran cold. Mrs. Hargrove had been leaking the exam to her chosen girls, mostly white, always female, while punishing black boys for cheating. He told Emma. She believed him instantly. "She does the same with grades. I saw her change a boy's B to a D last month because he talked back." Girls get bumps for smiling. On the 4th day, Jamal snuck back onto campus to grab books from his locker. He overheard 2 girls, both front-row favorites of Mrs. Hargrove, whispering in the stairwell. "I can't believe she gave us the exact same problems last night in her extra help group," one said, giggling. "She literally handed us the answers," said we, "deserved it, because we're serious students." But he, the other, laughed. "Yeah, the boys would never get that, especially not Jamal." Jamal's blood ran cold. Mrs. Hargrove had been leaking the exam to her chosen girls, mostly white, always female, while punishing black boys for cheating. He told Emma. She believed him instantly. "She does the same with grades. I saw her change a boy's B to a D last month because he talked back." Girls get bumps for smiling. Hargrove wasn't finished. She grabbed Jamal's collar herself, nails digging into his neck. "You think you can expose me? I run this classroom. Boys like you get crushed. Girls learn their place." The door slammed open later that day when Brock dragged Jamal into an empty storage room for further questioning. He slammed him against a shelf. "Stay away from that girl or I'll make sure you disappear." Jamal's lip was bleeding. His ribs ached, but he had secretly pressed record on his phone the moment Emma walked in. The audio was damning. Racist slurs, gender insults, physical threats. They thought they had won. They were wrong. That night Jamal and Emma listened to the recording over and over. But there was more. A quiet girl named Sophia, one of Hargrove's favorites, approached them in the parking lot after dark. "I can't stay silent anymore," Sophia whispered. "She's been changing grades for girls who do her favors, tutoring her niece for free, covering up when her friends cheat. And she hates boys, especially black boys, says they ruin the curve." Twist number 3. Mrs. Hargrove wasn't just biased. She was running a protection racket inside the school. Principal Klein knew he was protecting her because his own niece was in the favored group and had received the leaked answers. The whole administration was complicit in the abuse. Jamal's evidence pile grew, screenshots, witness statements, the altered grade logs. But when they tried to present it, Klein laughed. "This is a witch hunt. You're suspended indefinitely, Jamal. Emma, one more word, and you're out too." The breaking point came the next morning. Mrs. Hargrove cornered Jamal in the empty gym during what was supposed to be a final mediation. Brock stood guard at the door. "You're finished," she spat, "expelled. And I'll make sure no college touches you." She shoved him hard. Jamal stumbled, hit the bleachers, and felt something crack in his wrist. Pain exploded. Emma, hiding behind the equipment, started filming on her phone. Hargrove kept going, voice rising. "Black boys like you belong in jail, not my classroom, and girls who help them. They're just as worthless." She raised her hand to slap him again. That was the moment everything snapped. The video never made it through the school system. Principal Klein saw the footage Emma tried to submit and ordered it deleted. Internal matter, he called it. But justice didn't come from him. It came from Mr. Ellis, the quiet, grey-haired black janitor who had worked at Riverside for 27 years. Mr. Ellis had lost his own son to suicide after similar harassment a decade earlier. He had been secretly recording every brutal incident with hidden body cam glasses his nephew had given him. Years of footage, Hargrove's slurs, Brock's assaults, Klein's cover-ups, even Coach Reynolds in the girls' locker area making special comments to female athletes. Mr. Ellis waited until the next school board meeting, the one where Jamal was supposed to be formally expelled. While the board droned on about policy, Mr. Ellis stood up, pressed play on the projector he had rigged, and let 2 hours of raw, unedited horror play for the entire room, the parents and the local news crew that just happened to be invited. The room erupted. By morning the videos were everywhere. Number Justice for Jamal trended. State education authorities descended within 48 hours. Police arrested Mrs. Hargrove for assault, evidence tampering, and fraud. Mr. Brock was charged with excessive force and battery. Coach Reynolds was pulled in for separate gender-based misconduct complaints that the footage exposed. Principal Klein resigned before he could be fired. The board had no choice once the state took over. Jamal was cleared completely. Colleges started calling with scholarships. Emma received a public apology and a leadership award. Mr. Ellis was hailed a hero and given a paid position on the new oversight committee. Mrs. Hargrove sat in a courtroom months later, broken and pale, as victim after victim. Black boys, outspoken girls, anyone who didn't fit her twisted view, stood up and spoke. The judge's gavel fell like final thunder. Justice wasn't delivered by the principal. It wasn't a quiet firing behind closed doors. It came from the silent man who mopped floors and remembered every scream, every bruise, every tear, and finally refused to stay silent. Jamal stood outside the courthouse with his mother and Emma, wrist still in a brace, but head held high. The nightmare had ended in the most unexpected way possible, and Riverside High would never be the same again.